My name is Anuban Kate. I'm a Paris-based engineer, and today it's with immense pleasure that I'm inviting and hosting Niranjan TAKLE, who is an investigative journalist. He has worked intensively on various important stories in the past, and today is the book "Who Killed Judge LOYA" that he had published in 2022, I guess, right? That
Yeah.
we will be discussing because Judge Loya passed away, was dead on 1st of December 2014, and we will be commemorating his death anniversary. So this interview is is a homage to his work and this tragedy. So Niranjanji, welcome. I will
Thank you.
I will introduce you briefly. In case I miss few things, I let you interrupt me or correct me, add things.
Sure.
Thank you. So you are basically from Nashik, a
Yeah.
town in Maharashtra, but you also worked in Mumbai. You were child in your childhood. Your grandfather had a publication, and you also ran a newspaper stall along with him. You were very influenced by the poem of Tagore, "Let My Country Awake," and you were, I think, parents or your grandfather used to recite it to you, and that really impacted you, influenced you. You are basically your education is in engineering. You did B electronics in 1987. When it comes to profession, you initially started with engineering, and you also had a company of your own for machine automation in 1994. It was a business logic solution company. You were also associated with Sam Pitroda in the telecom sector. Talking about journalism, you worked at CNN, IBN, The Week. You also wrote articles for The Caravan and other magazines. You are, of course, an investigative journalist, but you're also an author. This is one of your books, but there are also other books that you have wrote, and you would tell us in detail. And you also have plans of more books that are coming. You also happen to work extensively on Vinayak Savarkar's political life and personal life. You presented your work at the US Congress at the invitation of the State Department. You held a discussion on religious freedom along with Suniti Vishwanathan of Hindus for Humanity. Columbia University recognized your work with a gold medal for your journalism career. Interestingly, in 2015, you took a Gandhi Yatra where you followed the same trail that Gandhiji had traveled in 1915. And during this journey, in almost the same conditions that you traveled, you visited several cities like Rajkot, Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Kolkata, Haridwar, Patna, Delhi, and others. Uh, then the major stories that you have covered, which is a lamb lionites that really put in highlight your work and people recognize you. It was for the week, and that's how Nupur Biani also contacted you, thanks to this story in a way. Uh, you were also disguised as a cattle transporter to unearth the cattle extortionist racket by the Bajrang Dal in Gujarat, and it wasn't a easy task. You were also beaten, and there were assaults, physical assaults on you. Among other stories, you covered sand mafia, the Dhule riots, farmer issues, demonetization, free ship for scheduled caste students, and many more. You have a YouTube channel, EG News, and frequently you comment in Marathi and at times also in Hindi and other languages on current affairs. You lastly have also a publication house, and not only you publish, and this book rather, it's your own publication. And for obvious reasons, I understand that not many publishers were ready, including Penguin, who denied and declined. But more than that, this publication house also helps publication of books which are difficult to publish. So it's not just your own books.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I mean, there's one book that you had mentioned to me was Mask of the Mascot and Secrets of the, I forgot the rest.
Empire. Secrets of the Empire.
Secrets of the Empire. Yeah. So thank you very much. This is what I wanted to tell to my audience. Is there anything else that you would like to add to this?
No,
This
it's
is it.
more than sufficient.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Before we get into the details, may I request you to present to our audience a brief summary or a context background of why this book came into being and how was the journey? Thank you.
As you mentioned, that after my Savarkar story was published, and it was titled A Lamb Lionized, and that had made his followers very furious that I addressed Savarkar as a lamb, and they were very furious. They started trolling me, they started abusing me, they started, I mean, addressing me in the filthiest possible language. They were threatening me, my daughter, and my entire family. And during that period, I happened to be in Pune for a different story, and uh, at this Nupur Biani, the niece of Judge Loya, who was a 19-year-old at that time, she came to meet me along with one of our common friend, and she said that if you are able to withstand the kind of pressure and the kind of threats that you are receiving right now, then I think you are the right person who can do a story on my uncle's death, about my uncle's death. And I asked her that, and why would anybody be interested in your uncle's death? Then she said that he was murdered. I said, okay, so what? I mean, you have all my sympathies, but I mean, so many murders happen. Why people should be interested in knowing how your uh, and why your uncle was murdered? That time she said that my uncle's name is Brij Gopal Loya, and he was presiding over Sohrabuddin's fake encounter case. And I mean, that shocked me because immediately he was presiding over Sohrabuddin's fake encounter case. This sentence made me understand the scope and gravity and the seriousness of that particular case, because this was a very famous, infamous case in India, and this particular person, Sohrabuddin Sheikh, uh, his wife Kausar B, and his associate Tulsi Prajapati. All three of them were first encountered, and it was published that uh, they were the terrorists and they had come to kill Narendra Modi in Gujarat. But later on, it came out that those were fake encounters. And Amit Shah, the present day Union Home Minister of India, at that time he was Home Minister of Gujarat State. He was the main accused in that particular case. And that was the case in which Amit Shah was jailed for 4 months, and he was even externed from Gujarat for 2 years. He was not allowed to enter Gujarat for 2 years. The case was transferred from Gujarat to Mumbai. The Supreme Court appointed a special CBI special court and asked the court to sit in Mumbai and hear the entire case. So Judge Loya was presiding over that particular case, and uh, his niece was telling me that he was murdered. Of course, she didn't have any evidence along with her. She was telling me a story which she had overheard from the discussions of her mother, her aunt, her grandfather, and all that. So she herself didn't have any evidence. And but constantly, and I must tell you this, that she was talking to me for almost 3.5 hours. And during all the conversation, she used to cry a number of times. But whenever she cried, she would look down. She used to take a deep breath and then again look up and start telling me that. that made me understand that this particular girl genuinely wants the truth to be revealed. And she was taking a huge risk herself because her entire family was scared. And that time I decided that I will, come what may, I will investigate this particular uh, story. Then another incident happened, and I had gone to meet Judge Loya's son, Anuj, at his house in Pune. He was staying there with his grandfather. At that time, his grandfather was with him, and grandfather was 85-year-old. And Anuj was sitting right opposite me all the time with his head down. He was staring at the floor. He never looked up at me, not even for a fraction of a second. Not even for a fraction of a second. I was constantly asking him, and he would not look at me. He would look sideways at his grandfather, and then his grandfather would answer the question. So at one point in time, I asked his grandfather that why Anuj is not asking. Anuj is Judge Loya's son, and he said that none of us trust judiciary, law and order, the people's representative, elected representatives, and even journalists. We had very high hopes from all these institutions, but we didn't get justice. And that's the reason why he doesn't have faith and trust in judiciary or journalism. And that actually shocked me. And I was coming down the stairs from his house. And while coming down the stairs, I called my daughter and I asked her that I met a guy of your age, 19, 20-year-old. And he says that he doesn't have trust and faith in his life. And I mean, at this age, he should be full of enthusiasm, full of ambitions. And he says he doesn't have faith in life. He doesn't have trust in life. How is he going to live? And she asked me briefly, and I told her in brief that what the situation is. And she said that what can you do? What can you do about that? You cannot create trust about judiciary or law and order or elected representatives. You can at the most try and create trust about journalism. So try if you can do that. And while sitting in an auto rickshaw along with my photographer, I told him that I'm going to do this, whatever it takes. I'm going to dig out all the evidence. And that's when the real investigation began. And it went on for almost 16 months. After 16 months, I still remember on 27th of February 2017, I filed the final draft of my story with The Week magazine, where I was employed. And but they sat on the story for until November, 6th of November. And I used to follow up every day. And I knew for a fact that until the publication house where you are employed refuses to publish your story, until then, it remains their intellectual property right. So I wanted to either refuse it in writing. Meanwhile, I had done different stories also. So from February to November, I was waiting for them to deny publishing the story in writing. And it so happened that, and see, the reason behind following up so much is also that when it was my personal experience, when I used to move on field, I used to develop sources, I used to nurture sources, I used to remain in contact with them. In fact, I had tried a lot in convincing the family members to talk to me, to trust me and talk to me. And while doing that, unknowingly you raise expectations in their minds and they start following up with you that when the story is going to get published, when the story is going to get published. And in places like in India, when the story doesn't get published for 7-8 months, it becomes a question mark on the journalist's credibility. Yeah. And that was another reason why I was following up so much, because I didn't want my credibility to get damaged. And the moment On the 6th of November at around 10:45 in the morning, I received a mail that we are not going to publish it. All the options are open for you. And in reply to that mail, in 6 or 10 seconds, I replied to the mail saying that I am resigning. It was a one-line email. And I said, I am resigning. Because after resigning, that story became my intellectual property right. And then I started following up with several publishers. I approached many reputed news organizations in India. But it so happened that Caravan magazine and their editor at that time, Vinod Jose and Hartosh Singh Bal, they called me and they said that they are ready to publish it. And then eventually on the 20th of November 2017, the story got published. And but not a single mainstream media in the entire country, whether it is broadcast media or print media or digital media, none of them carried the story forward or did follow-up stories. None of them. So, and then the petition got filed in the Supreme Court, the public interest litigation. Supreme Court heard it for 43 days.
Hmm.
And after 43 days, the Supreme Court denied granting permission to investigate the mysterious death, and on very flimsy grounds. I mean, very flimsy grounds, but the permission was denied. And I had already lost my job in 2017, as I said. And since then, I was not employed anywhere. In COVID, in 2021, I suffered a heart attack. And yes, during COVID. And on the 1st of May 2021, I still remember, a bypass surgery was conducted, open heart surgery was conducted on me. And after that, that day, after I came to consciousness, I was brought out from the operation theater. I was in the ICU, intensive care unit. I was unconscious, but when I gained consciousness, the first thought that came to my mind was that if I die, then I have so many stories to tell, which people will never know if I die. And I told my wife that get my laptop to my bed. The next day she brought the laptop and I started writing the story.
Thank
Yeah.
you for this very fascinating narration. When I read the book, of course, it's a fascinating read, and usually one wouldn't put the book down, and one can finish it in one read. In my case, it took me more time because I was taking notes. But what I really realized that this is not just plain dry professionalism. We also see human values, personal emotions, a sense of duty, all mingle, and it really is a beautiful work, and not just work. You also took the step forward, as you said, and you narrated it in a book, and it's also now translated into different languages. I would like your comments now, how you look at all these sequences, how you look at all this story, the judgment, the investigation that didn't happen. Um, would you write the book differently? Would you do things differently? How would you respond?
No, I wouldn't do anything differently. I mean, I would have done the same thing which I did. And it also shows the very sorry state of affairs in the judiciary, in the executive, in the elected representatives, political parties, and in my fraternity as well. And also about the civil society in India. And I always have had this complaint against the civil society that if you remember, the infamous Nirbhaya rape and murder case had happened in 2013 in Delhi. And at that time, there were protests and agitations in 600 cities across the country. And people had taken out candlelight march and all. Because probably the civil society thought that the person who did that crime inside a bus at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the night, must be a very petty criminal. So they took out marches and lit candles and everything. But when the news of Judge Loya's death appeared, not a single candle was lit. Nobody took out a march. Nobody held a protest. Nothing, because they knew that the perpetrators are extremely powerful. So if the Indian civil society starts to choose battles that suit them, then we cannot blame political parties for everybody now complains that fascism is taking over, fascism has arrived. It has arrived because civil society has taken suitable roles to play. We have to safeguard our democracy. And just imagine a judge who has been threatened, who has been, he was tried to intimidate, then he was tried to bribe him, and he withstood all the pressure but did not compromise. Had the civil society in India stood behind the family of Judge Loya, his son or his sister, then probably we would have seen the justice happening. But we have not seen, because nobody stood in support of the family. They simply got abandoned. And there are so many shortcomings in all this, what you have put together in the timeline. Yeah, for example, it is a rule that anybody who has to depose before the Supreme Court has to depose through affidavit. Secondly, Maharashtra government was not even a party in that public interest litigation. Despite Maharashtra government not being a party, the state government, the state government deployed the two of the most costly lawyers in India, Harish Salve and Mukul Rohatgi. Mukul Rohatgi charged some 11 lakh rupees for one day. For 43 days he appeared. 35 lakh rupees for Harish Salve and a chartered flight from London to Delhi every time.
With the exchequer's money, public money.
With the taxpayers' money, yeah, with the exchequer's money. The state government spent almost 18 crore rupees to not get the investigation appointed. Then the Supreme Court, now you mentioned about that unofficial inquiry that began on the 23rd of November, 25th of November. Now the funny part is, first they announced in media that it will be an unofficial inquiry. So I questioned that, will you be implementing unofficial methods for inquiring into this? Then they said, no, this is discreet inquiry. Now, under which provision of law was this investigation appointed? There is no provision of law.
Yeah, just one comment on this. I think we have to distinguish also words here. There's one inquiry and another is investigation. Actually,
Yes.
the whole petition was requesting the investigation, and if the Maharashtra state government instated an inquiry, which means they agreed the logical demand.
Yeah, absolutely. Then you mentioned about the letters written by judges and family members. Now, Judge Loya's sister and father gave letter to that particular investigation officer. His name was Sanjay Barve. And 4 or 5 judges gave letters to him. Justice Bhushan Gavai, Justice Barde, then Shukre, Modak, Kulkarni, and Rathi. These are the 6 judges who gave letters to that particular officer. The investigation officer submitted those letters to the Supreme Court. Now, Supreme Court admitted those letters as part of evidence. Now, first of all, all that content should have been in an affidavit, through an affidavit, where the person, takes an oath. Now, Supreme Court did not ask them to give affidavits. It admitted the letters as part of evidence, but denied permission to cross-examine those individuals. Now, if you are admitting something as part of evidence, then you should allow the interveners to cross-examine them. The
Yeah.
Supreme Court denied permission for that. Now, no material evidence was submitted by the state government throughout the case, throughout the hearing.
Mm.
No material evidence was submitted. Now, if Justice Gawai was saying that he was taken in his car
Mm.
to the hospital, then they should have provided CCTV footage of the Ravi Bhavan guest house, which is a VVIP guest house. It has number of CCTVs installed in the premises. They
Mm.
should have given it. They didn't. They didn't submit it to the court because they knew that they are lying. And I was 100% sure that he was taken in an auto rickshaw because I had seen the CCTV footage. So, so the Supreme Court of India denied natural justice to the intervening lawyers. Dushyant Dave had given a list. Dushyant Dave had given a list of 11 persons for cross-examination to be granted, including me, including mine. But that permission was never given.
Yeah. What I think when I listen to you, I think there are more questions after this judgment which remain than the answers we
Absolutely.
got, right? So
Yeah.
whenever a government which is for democracy and constitution, the good of the people who is concerned, would and should take up this investigation one day, and your book really has done a tremendous job in that direction. We are reaching the end of this interview. I have few final comments. Um, when I look at the work that you did, and all the difficulties you had to face professionally, also at the personal level, family level, so that really kind of even increases the importance of this work. And I'm tempted to also to think when I read the book about Jani Bhi Do Yaro, the movie, and how the journalists at the end were made not really deserved what their work. There's another film, Umbertha, and in where Smita Patil in Marathi says,
Yeah.
"Mi khasnar nahi, I will not give up." And we also see when we read you that you are not just concerned about this story, but you are also concerned about the future of this country, the young generation, what your profession should and would mean to them. So there is also a value system, and this value system, I believe, is not just limited to India or to Maharashtra. It is very universal. And I'm in France since some years, and I can say that journalists, investigative journalists here as well face similar problems at different levels. But the challenges are common, and that's why we should perhaps work together. Uh, Now, I really wish you to give the last word, where you would perhaps tell us about your future projects, your job challenges, and what you plan for future.
Now, first of all, I mean, to continue what you just said, see, basically, I have written this book as if this is the autobiography of a journalist for, say, 18, 20 months. Life of a journalist during those 20 odd months. So that's the reason why I have written everything, what my family was going through, what was happening behind in the office, in our working area, what was happening with my daughter, my wife, and everything. Because most of the people read stories. They don't know what went behind uncovering that story. So people should understand what a journalist goes through while doing such stories. That's very important. Second thing is the first paragraph of my prologue in the book talks about the Defamation Act. Because when I started writing the story and when I was talking to the publishers, every publisher would tell me that the Supreme Court will object to this. You cannot criticize the Supreme Court's judgment. So I have given that entire provision of the Act that criticizing a Supreme Court's decision is not defamatory. So from the first para to the last paragraph of the book, my the entire thought behind writing this book is to make people understand that this book is not to scare you, but this book is written to give you hope and courage that one ordinary single person can stand against such system.
And also strategies, because I think it's important in the book
Absolutely.
about strategies, how to counter, how to anticipate, and that's an important aspect.
Yeah.
I forgot to ask you one difficult questions, because I think I also should ask you a difficult question, and I hope you won't mind it. Um, and I also ask this because you have written about it in the book. We all have our personal traits, characteristics. We have our tendencies, let's say, and that's what makes us unique. You have given an impression in the book, and also said that your nature is a bit impulsive, impetuous. At times, you become hot-tempered easily. You're given to provocation. My question would be, to what extent this helped you or hindered you in your work? How do you look at this personal trait of yours? Because we see that also in your interviews that you do on EG. We see a concern there, and you don't mince words. You are quite straightforward. So how would you respond to this argument? Yeah.
See, yes, I mean, anybody would get an impression that I am very impulsive and hot tempered. Yes, I am hot tempered. That's for sure. But as I have written in the book also, that when I was on field to do a story, I used to prepare a lot. I mean, for a day, I would prepare for half a day. I mean, it would take almost 5, 6 hours for me to prepare for what to do tomorrow, and for every possible situation that may arise while doing the story. So uh, when I say that I was walking on the streets in Nagpur, and suddenly four bikers came and stopped me, and they started questioning that where are you going, and I said that come, let's go to your house, and I sat on his bike. I mean, it may appear that it was an impulsive act, but I had prepared for that kind of situation, that I will do something which the other person does not expect. If I do what he expects, then I am walking into his trap. So I will not do anything that he is expecting. So it was, I mean, well thought out. In the book, it appears that it was impulsive, but I had thought about it. So, otherwise, I mean, yes, in my videos, I do appear very angry, at times very hurt. I even cry.
Mm.
I mean, I still remember the video which I had done after Manipur incidents.
Mhm.
Throughout, I had tears in my eyes. Well, I am a human being, and I don't. I mean, I am not raised in my family saying that the male should not cry. No, I was told that yes, whatever your feelings are, you should express it, and it is not weakness; it is the strength that you are sensitive.
Mhm.
So being sensitive is a strength. So that's what I feel. And many times I feel that yes, I get angry while talking. That's because, and I don't mince words, because my family has never taught me to be afraid of something, to be scared of something. And the caption, the catch of my book is also to tell the truth and shame the devil is the responsibility of a journalist.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but what I think, two things that I take out from what you just said. I think if someone is sensitive in India, it's very hard to survive, but that doesn't mean we stop being sensitive, and that's the most important aspect of our human existence. That's
I don't think so.
no.
I mean, we have seen. extremely sensitive people like Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Ambedkar not only survive but succeed and give a shape to the country.
Yeah, yeah. What I mean, it's a challenging task, and not everyone
Yes,
succeeds
yes.
in doing so, like you did. Second point I take, when most of or many, let's say, people in India who are concerned about the constitutional values, democratic values, kind of seem helpless since 2014 now, how to counter RSS, how to counter BJP and Modi and Amit Shah. Through your book, you have possibly given answers, tactics, and ways. So I really admire that. That's at least one important and serious way to think about. Now to conclude this book, I really thank you for having talked to me, because
Wow.
I consider a book to be a supreme sacred gift of human expression, because you have worked on this book several times. You have written manuscripts, perhaps you scratch it, you again wrote it, you
Yeah,
discussed. So it's a final product that you are presenting to us as readers, and we're lucky. And I believe every person reads the book differently. So I'm very lucky that the author has agreed to talk to me, and I wish a great success to all your future endeavors, and I hope to talk to you soon. Do you have a last
yeah,
word?
sure. No,
Concluding word?
I have a manuscript ready for my next book. I mean, again, that is titled A Lamb Lionized. It's on the life of Savarkar
Okay.
and mm, how he brought this fascist idea of Hindutva to Indian politics. And that the Hindutva is a word which he coined. It was never in practice in the past. And luckily, he wrote that Hindutva has nothing to do with religion. Hindutva is a political doctrine based
Mm.
on hatred.
Okay.
So I know for a fact that hatred has an expiry date. It's love, compassion, liberty, democracy, truth, non-violence. These are the timeless values. So the hatred will end one day on its own.
Yeah. So on these words, let's say we stop for now. But once
Yeah,
again, I
sure.
wish your books are translated and read in several Indian languages, but not just. I hope one day your book is also published in French, so that the audience
Why
here
not?
also gets a chance to read your book and thoughts. So thank you again,
Sure.
Niranjan Takre, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye bye. Yeah.
Bye bye.